I'm really exhausted. I think that the lack of sleep is starting to get me.
90 days is the target that I gave myself to transform a wreck into something cool like this without any help in my home garage. Over the past few weeks, I spent every minute that I could save to work on this car. I've made my plan, tested the new wheels, and I've created 2 epic custom bumpers. In this video, I will continue with the prepping and hopefully even get some paint on. But can I get it right with all the challenges that I'm facing? First, I need to remove everything from the car so that I have space to work and keep all of these parts dust-free. I cleared everything that was inside the car and now I have space to tackle the roof. I need to remove this connecting bar that is secured with a nut and bolt on each side, and then I can take it off the car. Now with the soft top up again, I can remove the soundproofing that covers the bulkhead, also known as the firewall, and then you can see how the soft top is secured all the way around to the body. First I like to loosen them by hand, because if I feel that one is seized, I can play with it back and forth, use some penetrating oil, and hopefully this will break it loose and not the bolt. After that, I can speed things up a bit with a power tool. Disconnect the window heater connector, remove the metal plate that was holding flat the soft top to the body, remove these 2 trims, and I can separate the soft top from the car. I'm using the pry tool to remove the push pins that secure the drain bags, and now I just have to remove these 4 bolts that secure the roof to the car and the soft top can come off. Next, I need to remove the nuts that secure this big trim and take it off. With this, I'm gonna call it a day because it's 2 AM, I think. So there's always I would like to say tomorrow, but it's actually today. I want to thank you all for the amazing support you gave me after what happened in my last video. And if you're new here and like what you see, please share and subscribe, as this is a really cool project to follow. Next day. Here in the front storage or the frunk, there is the spare wheel and the toolkit and the alarm siren underneath the wheel. But it's quite a shame because this is a fairly big storage space and it's wasted because of this. So I'm going to get rid of the spare wheel and replace it with a flat tire repair kit so that I can save all of this space, because as you will see, it is quite big. Look, it's like the size of my arm. I've undone all of the clips. Now this is gonna lift right up. The bolts for the front, I already took them off. Now this should just come up like, with a wiggle. Yeah, there you go. This is a really good opportunity to see if anything is damaged from the accident and if there are any major rust issues. But everything looks straight and it looks like superficial rust. When I'm going to be finished with this, it's going to look a lot nicer. And now this cover, which is held into place by a few screws and some clips, which are off, obviously the wipers. Now it's just gonna slide out like that. I moved on to remove the window frame rubber gasket. And last, the stainless steel mount that was secured with 3 screws. The door card is secured with screws in 4 spots. One is under this small cap, one is behind the cover at the top of the handle. At the door lever there is a small lid and a screw behind it. The door armrest just pulls out and there is another bolt that secures the handle. After all the screws are off, to remove this I'm using the pry tool, and the trim is clipped on the top and bottom, and as soon as it is released, it slides out. And at this point the door card is on only with some push clips. With the window down, by pulling from the lower side, the door card should unclip and slide up. Then it was time to repeat the process on the other side, and after the door card was off, I continued by removing the rubber seal found on the door. And then to remove the glass, push the top bit all the way in, and then you have access underneath. And then you just pry it off, easy. It has a bit of glue, a bit of mastic, but they came off, and then the top, and then it just slides out. And it's as easy as that, and you don't really want to break the glass. And this is the back. It has the 2 hooks that goes over there, and then these 2, well, they're just pressed into place. These are the 2 bolts that secure the mirror assembly to the door. With a long extension, I have removed the 2 nuts, and now I just need to unplug the wiring and I can remove it from the car. Then I moved on to the wheel arch, and I'm using the laser to make my work easier. I have the middle of the wheel, and then I have the middle of the arch. We should be here. With the center mark to use as reference, I'm installing the flare on the car by using screws and mark where I can make the cut. I'm cutting the rear quarter panel. I had to undo the last bolt that was holding the arch. I can remove the cut section, and I just need to clean the edges. Then I moved on to the other side, and first I have removed the flare. It is very important to actually secure it all the way, otherwise it can shift, and then at the end, instead of having a nice neat finish, you're just gonna have something that looks like wonky. This should be my cut. I'm using again whiteboard marker, and with the arch marked, I'm cutting this corner of the car as well and remove the extra that I don't really need. That's it. No turning back now. I'm using the flap disc to clean the edges, and this corner is done. I move to the front where I already marked where to cut. I remove the cut section and the inner wheel arch, and last, clean the edges with the flap disc. So the plan for tonight is just sand this down, get it masked, and put some paint on. Normally I like to sand with 400 grit, because I think 400 is the sweet spot when you're sanding it down. It's not coarse enough so that it leaves markings after the paint. Also, it's not fine enough so that the paint will flake off, because this is why you actually sand it down, just to make sure that the paint is gonna stick to whatever you're gonna paint it on. With all the trims removed, I'm sanding the window frame by hand so that I won't do any damage to the windscreen. At the top where this pushpin was installed, I can see some rust, but it proved to be nothing. And as soon as I don't have any glossy spots anymore, the window frame is ready for the next stage, which is to mask everything that I don't want the paint to land on. The windscreen on the inside as well, because it's just easier to mask rather than clean. Since I'm not painting in a paint booth and I don't have an extractor, I'm masking the walls because I don't want the fumes to land everywhere. I'm sanding the car with 400 grit paper on an orbital machine just to speed things up a bit. At this stage, as I work my way around the car, I have the chance to spot all the defects that the body panels still have, like deep scratches, dents, anything that could make the car look bad after painting.
Managed to finish the sanding, the first part of the sanding of the car. To be honest, it's just I'm really exhausted. I think that the lack of sleep is starting to get me.
So I just had a break, I had a cup of tea, and to be honest, it makes such a big difference to take a break. So I've decided that I'm gonna spray the black today, just because after I paint I can't really do anything else. I need to let it sit and dry. Let's put some black paint, let it dry, start again in the morning. Before I apply the paint, there are a few steps that are vital. First, I'm using the compressed air to blow the dust out from the hard to reach places, because when I'm painting, the last thing that I want is the pressure from the gun to bring out debris that stick to the paint. Okay, let's degrease. So when I'm degreasing, usually what I'll try to do is always swipe in one direction, so I don't want to do swirls like this and coming back and forth. So what I'll try to do is just like that, try from one end to another. So by the time I pass, this area is clean, it's not contaminated anymore. And now until this dries, I can mix up the paint and yeah, start painting. I need to filter the paint, and I'm going to start applying a very thin coat that will act as a glue for the following coats so that I reduce the chances of the paint to drip. Next day, I think it turned really well. This is now already dry. Obviously I'm gonna sand it down and then polish it. And with the window frame painted and dry, I moved on to the next stage. Because plastic is flexible and moves a lot, I'm going to drill small holes on each side of the cut that will act as anchors for the filler to prevent it from flaking off. After, I'm going to apply the fiberglass reinforced filler, and I'm going to make sure that I push the filler through the holes so that this coat will act as a foundation for the following coats. After it cures, I'm going to sand it with 120 grit on the machine, and at this point I just need to sand the high spots and make sure that the entire surface is sanded so that the next coat can stick properly. Before I apply another coat, I need to degrease and make sure that the surface is dust free. Then I'm going to apply the body filler, which is a lot finer and easier to sand compared to the fiberglass one, making this part just a tiny bit nicer. This time I'm using 240 grit sanding paper on the machine, just because I'm getting closer to finishing the bumper for paint. Now I just need to repeat the process of degreasing, applying filler, sanding, until I have a result that I'm pleased with. And this is how it turned out. Front is pretty much there. So I try to do the edge as straight as possible. Then this looks pretty decent. And with the front bumper done, I moved on to the rear. I'm applying the fiberglass filler, and I'm planning to sand it with the coarse paper on the sanding machine. As a rule, with whatever grit you're sanding something, with a machine it will always be finer than if you do it by hand. But there is a catch. If you don't have experience in sanding, it is better if you do it by hand. It might be slower at first impression, but it is a lot easier to spot if you're doing something wrong since everything moves on a slower pace. I remember when I first started working on cars and I was supposed to sand and prepare my car for paint, and I was like, oh, this is such an easy job to do. You just sand, so what could it be so difficult? But actually in reality this is what makes the difference from a really good car and the one that doesn't look so good. But I was lucky enough because across the street there was a body shop and the guy was really good. So I ended up going there every day and I've learned how to sand the right way. I started to sand the fiberglass filler with the machine wherever it was flat, and after I carried on to sand by hand the spots that I couldn't reach. Between every layer, it is vital to clean really well and degrease, otherwise in some time the filler can decide to go for a walk. And after, I just applied the body filler, which is a lot easier to work with. Next day I resumed where I left it, and with daylight I was able to see a lot more imperfections, so I had no other choice but to keep sanding and applying filler. The reason why I'm using the laser again is there's this line over here. How I'm going to move my hand, you'll see straight away. I can sand right on the line to make sure that it's nice and straight. So when you look at it, you're not gonna look like that. You understand it like a Picasso painting. So anyway, I still have a few spots that I need to rectify. Yeah, for instance, you can see here straight away, this is a pit here. So I just need to apply a bit more filler and get rid of all the minor imperfections. Most of the filler is now gone, and you might ask, well, why bother then? Because by applying the second coat of filler, you fill up all the gaps and imperfections, and when you sand it down, you're just left with a nice even surface. With the prep for the bumper almost done, I stopped to have a look and show you as well how it turned out. It's starting to take shape and I'm super pleased. I think it already looks really good. Now, before I move to the finishing stage, because I made this opening for the rear wheel arch, I don't want to install a mesh here, but I will try to build two fins so that you can't really put your hand in. Or more important, if kittens want to go in, they won't be able to go in through here. But first I need to make a template out of an easy to use material, and because I like to upcycle a lot, I'm just gonna trace my design on a pizza box. I have transferred the cardboard template to a leftover from the van. I made a cut to be able to slide the piece to the bumper, and after I started to cut the piece out a bit bigger than the marking, I've installed the flap disc on the angle grinder and started trimming it until I was left with the shape that I wanted. Cleaned the edges with a file, and the only problem that I can see right now with this plastic is very thin and it looks quite flimsy, so what I might do is just look to see if I have some leftover plastics that are thicker. But this being for a test fit, it will be just fine. Now let's just see how it fits. Here it fits really well, and already it doesn't look bad at all. Now I just need to go and look if I have some plastic that are a bit thicker, and then try to make 4 of these. Finally a bit of luck. Ah, look at this! Plastic! Yeah, nice and thick as well. Now I just need to trace the templates here, make them as smooth as possible, and then we're pretty much done. I've made 2 identical fins, but when I've installed the second one, they were just odd looking, so I've changed the design a bit. But again, when I've put the second one, I've realized that they can't be identical, as they were just looking bad. So I've decided to make the lower fin slightly different. Then I've just made 2 of each. Well, to be honest, this tested me a lot. Let me show you the fins. But it was a nightmare to do because, I don't know, for some reason, just to make sure that they were nice and aligned, it proved to be very fiddly. And now with the prep pretty much done, it's time to spray the acrylic filler and start painting the car. But I'll do all of that in the next episode, so make sure that you click on the screen right now and watch this video here. My name is Camil, thank you for watching, I'll see you next time.